Channel 10.
Today's episode of Channel 10 Podcast is brought to you by channel10podcast.com. When you go to channel10podcast.com, you can check out our back catalog of great episodes, and you can also help support the show by clicking the store link and purchasing some Channel 10 Podcast merchandise. With that, let's start the show.
We used to be like CNN, Channel 10. And we used to think that people would catch on. But if you're not from Queens, if you don't got Time Warner or whatever, like, well, I didn't know that.
Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man. It's all good. Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo.
Call is now being recorded.
Okay, we're back. It's the Channel 10 Podcast. Once again, it's your man AR, the almighty AR, and I'm alongside
Single Superior.
And today we have a very special guest by the name of Cole James Cash. Say what up to the people.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? I want to give a shout out to every producer / MC who's signed a distribution deal or whatever, but you still have to work a 9 to 5.
Word.
This rap shit don't pay. So unless you love it, don't even fuck with it.
Word. Yeah, man. That's some wise wisdom right there.
oh hell yeah! Like people get it twisted. Like, oh yeah, I saw on Facebook that you signed a distribution deal. Yeah, that's if my album sells 10 copies, then it might be worth something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like they gave me advance money or whatever. In fact, it's better that they didn't. You know, it's better that I was, I funded the operation myself along with the Kickstarter, etc. I try to tell people, man, if you're going to do hip-hop, man, you better not be doing it for no money, because you'll be doing a lot of sucker shit that you end up not wanting to do,
Word. Now, I guess before we take it back to the beginning, can you speak to your distribution deal and, what you have going on with that?
Well, there's a couple, actually. The first one I have is for my album Street Champion, which is an album based on the game Street Fighter 2. The album has Chris Rivers, Black Poet, Gorilla Nems, Hot Rod, Sadat X, my man Lex, my man FU, LA, singer from England. She rocks with Hus Kingpin and them cats, who called the Winners. I mean, there's a bunch of cats on it. Half the time I can't even remember the entire roster. But nonetheless, those are some of the mainstays.
Word.
And basically, the album itself, I spent about a year working on it. This is something I don't like to do. I don't like to spend a lot of time working on one project. I'm not that kind of person I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not. I will work on something, and I hope I'll be like, this sounds good. This is as good as gonna get. Okay, let's move on. I'm not one of them cats that are like, oh yeah, I like to take my time. No, I like to hurry the hell up because this shit gets grating after a while.
Right.
So the thing is I have 26, 27 MCs on there. So when you have that many MCs, things are gonna take time whether you like it or not. It's not even a choice at that point. So I worked on it about a year ago. I got it completed through donations, as well as I had cats, I had to have cats invest because of the fact that, the album I raised $3,500 publicly at Kickstarter, but the album ended up costing more than that. So I had to get money through other means, along with my own, but I had other cats, some of the executive producers, such as my man Malcolm Albert and a cat named Sofa King, etc. Like, a bunch of cats really helped out. So basically, I was able to get the distribution deal, one of them, through Redline Distribution. They put out Cormega's last album, and some of Large Professor's discography has come out to them also. So basically, you know, when it comes to Redline distribution, like, they're just a distributor. I was forced to create my own label. You understand? I don't give a shit about having my own label, man. Like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, having a label, like, you understand, like, doing music is a four-letter word now, especially rapper. I'm not a rapper, but, like, what do you do? Oh, I make rap music. It's you might as well tell people you sell Herbalife, man. You know, it's not, you know, my man Lex, one of my good closest friends, Lex, who raps on the album 3 times. Oh yeah, I forgot Sky Zoo was on the album. That's the main feature I was forgetting. Yeah, he's like the biggest name on the album. But yeah, like, basically, you know, the guy told me, to Jamie from Redline, he's like, well, what label is it under? I'm like, I don't know. Whatever you have. He's like, no, I'm just a distributor. You have to have a label. I'm like, well, okay, I'm just going to make up some shit. So basically, I made up my own label called Elite Squad, based on a Brazilian movie called Tropa de Elite, which is Portuguese for Elite Squad. And I forcefully drafted my good friends to the label, FU. My man FU, who actually signed a deal over at Red Phone Look Records to put out his album, The F Word, and my man Lex, who actually just recently put out an album where he's rapping strictly over break beats called Break the Pattern. So basically, I forced those dudes to be a part of my label, and then I snatched up, like I said, my girl from Manchester named L.A. She rocks with the Winners, like I told you, Hus Kington, Rosewood, those guys, those are Rockmar Marciano's proteges, basically. And, you know, she rocks with them, and I'm like, no, you're coming with me, okay? You're coming with me. So I put together this small team, and so my label is more like, a lot of these labels are like a bunch of like thugs and super gunmen, or yeah, we're super lyrical. No. My shit's like some comic book hero shit, man. You know, I forced everyone to have nicknames and shit like that. Like, you know, I wear a mask. I never show my face, man. You can Google my name. You will not see not one image. You can Google my government name, which I'm not going to give you, but you can Google that. You still won't find anything, because I've gone through great lengths to protect myself online the last 10 years. You cannot find me.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you Google my name, you'll see all my interviews. You can find out a lot about me. But a picture, that ain't going to happen. So basically, you know, I fashioned my label as a bunch of comic book heroes, man. I don't take myself that serious. Honestly, I don't take myself that serious. Too many niggas in rap are too real, or, oh, I keep it real, I keep it hip-hop. You know, I just do whatever I want to do. And if it happens to fall under something that people like, then great, you know. But I do try to fall within the bounds of the culture, because the culture is very important to me. But I'm not going to force that on you. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you listen to Future and Fetty Wap, that's not hip-hop. You know what? You know, my mom would say back in the day, man, there's too much cursing on this shit, you know? I'd be like, nah, you don't get it. The kids today will tell you, man, you don't get it. You old. You can't fuck with Fetty Wap, man. You can't expect hip-hop to stay KRS-One in them forever. Times change, you know? They change, and you can't force the kids to like what you like. You can't do that, you know? And nobody is less intelligent because they want to bump Young Thug. You know, like that, they're not. It's just that's what they like. Think about Nelly. I hated Nelly in high school, but you know what? For a lot of kids, Nelly is nostalgic for them. And who am I to tell them that? Oh, you can't. That's not nostalgic. It was whack. No, to them it wasn't. So I don't even bother with that shit. So to answer your question, yeah, to my man Malcolm, I was able to get distribution deals for the album. It's going to be out in January. It's going to be out in all digital stores, and I got CDs pressed up. Not like anyone gives a shit about CDs, but if you wish to have a physical copy, you can have one, okay? It'll be on Amazon, and it'll be on Spotify, so, you know, I can get 10 cents every time you stream it 1 million times. You know, it'll be on all those different places, but it's my most expensive piece of work. Costed nearly $10,000 to make, and I really enjoyed it, you know. My second distribution deal is for a startup label called Sound Alive Records, which is run by my man E. Smitty. E. Smitty works very closely with Cool G Rap, and he's worked with Aguilar. He has a whole host of people to work with. He's a producer. He MCs sometimes, but he mostly produces and does a lot of mastering. And he produced ASAP Ferg's probably one of his biggest tracks, which was Choppers on Deck. So he got a lot of notoriety for that. And me and him are real cool. We real cool. So I made an album about my son, okay, which is actually due out, I believe, December 15th. I forgot. I'd be forgetting my release dates. And I made an album about my son. It's only 8 songs, okay? And 7 of the songs are just instrumentals. But at the beginning of each instrumental, I give a short message to him, you know, about, relationship advice and how I'm always going to be close to him. Like, I give messages to him. And the last song is there's one vocal track by my peoples from Crew 54. These guys out of Austin, Texas. Well, if you heard them rap, you'd swear they're from New York. But yeah, they're from Austin, Texas. And the song is called Hands Up. And, basically, I'm showing my pro-black colors on that one, like, you understand, I'm not one to talk much about politics. If you go on my Facebook, you ain't going to see too much about anything. I like to let, my music pretty much, you listen to my songs, it'll tell you exactly how I feel. For instance, on Street Champion, you listen to the song with Sadat X and my man Apocalypse the Archangel, they talk to some Black Lives Matter conspiracy type shit, even though it's a Street Fighter album.
Right.
Because of the fact that stuff is very important to me, but I'm not one to throw it in your face. I'll just slip the message in, and if you heard it and you know where I was coming from, then that's what it is.
That's what's up. Now, you said that you spoke about, the culture. So I was wondering, before we get into, how you got to the point where you're at now, coming up in the Bay Area and all of that, what does the hip hop culture mean to you, and how did you first get introduced?
Well, the earliest records I can remember were mostly like Slick Rick's second album. Like my sister had that. My eldest brother, he had like a bunch of my older brother had a bunch of CDs and stuff and tapes of like Kid and Play, MC Light, MC Shy D. He had all kinds of stuff. I mean, I can remember just being enamored with hip hop and house music. Like I was really, really liked house music. That's actually what I started DJing. What I loved about house music is it's very positive. And I'm not talking about EDM. I'm not talking about that bullshit. I'm talking about house music, 1990s. I'm just gonna say it when you could hear the blackness in that music. It was like a gospel almost.
You mean like
had gospel.
I was gonna say Crystal Waters and all that. Or?
Yes, Crystal Waters, yeah. Martha Wash. You know what I mean? Like you had converted gospel singers, basically. And I really enjoyed that. But what I loved about hip hop was I liked that you didn't have to be a rapper to be a part of it. You could be a DJ. You could be a fan. You could just be an observer. You could be a b-boy. You could do anything. The Bay Area is a very insulated community. It's very, people here are really in their own zone. Like you're going to find people that think about Lil B, okay?
Right.
He's from Berkeley. He's a very unique kid. And at first people didn't know how to take him because, I mean, I'm from here. So when I see him doing what he does, I'm like, yeah, that nigga's from Berkeley, But for an outsider, they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? That's what I'm saying. It's a very insulated, community where people just do whatever the hell they want. There's no rules here, and we don't have a lot of big record companies that are like LA does, where it's right around the corner. So a lot of our movements here are very independent. Now, my background is actually in jazz. Okay, jazz piano, jazz saxophone. So what my music is rooted towards is a jazz conception, jazz theories. So theoretically, my music is linked to that. So I will gravitate towards music that has that element in it. So I'm going to gravitate more towards a Lord Finesse. I'm going to gravitate towards a Pete Rock. I'm going to gravitate towards a DJ Premier. If I want to take it on to some other shit, a Japanese DJ named DJ Crush, who did a lot of instrumental albums, who I'm highly influenced by. DJ Crush is the reason why I found out about Tragedy in them. You know what I mean? Like, Tragedy did a song with DJ Crush back in 96, 95, and I'd never heard of Tragedy at that point. You know, I didn't know that was the Intelligent Hoodlum, if that makes sense. You gotta understand, I live in the Bay Area, so it's things are different here. We, you know, DITC and all them cats, they don't have a name out here like that. You feel me? Like, you have to really be plugged in the 90s to know who those cats were. And it just wasn't like that for me. I'm in my early 30s, so there's only so much I was going to know before the internet really helped get things going. Yeah. You know, for instance, Nas Illmatic had no effect out here. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, it was huge because he had the video, the Street Dreams video. But any nigga from the Bay Area who says, "Oh yeah, back in '94, Nas was bubbling," no, that is not true. You know, and I don't say that negatively. It's because I try to tell people, man, that certain things in New York, certain things in the South, certain things in the Bay Area didn't reach everywhere like that. The internet changed that. You see what I'm saying? So I had to search really hard for the type of hip hop that I like. And I remember one thing that definitely changed me was the Tribe Called Quest Midnight Marauders album. When I heard the production on that, it really drastically changed what I thought hip hop could be, because it was the first perfect album I'd ever heard. You know, like right front to back for me personally. So for me, there's always, you know, that's really a big deal. So I started off DJing house music, DJing a little hip hop, mostly house music. And what I liked about the culture is that it didn't take much to be a part of it. You know, it's not like, I didn't view it like how I viewed like rock and punk, where you had to like dress a certain way or whatever. With hip hop, man, you could dress however the hell you wanted, so long as you appreciated the culture and you was down with it. Then you know that's all you needed to have. You know, I mean, I'm not disrespecting that you know, any type of punk or rock and roll culture. It's not that. What I am saying is that hip-hop just seemed like it was easier to jump into, and plus, I mean, it's a representation of my people. It's black music. Bottom line, it's black music, and I'm black. So it's something that I felt I could be a part of and have something to share and express that's culturally significant to me.
Now, how did you come up with the name Cole James Cash?
Very easily. I used to be CIA, okay, when I started producing back in around 05, when I got out the service. And I used to be CIA, but I was like, nah, that shit sounds like the feds. So I switched my name up to Cole Cash. It's a comic book character from a book I like called Wildcats. It's about not really a hero, but he's kind of an anti-hero. He smokes cigarettes. He's a womanizer, you know, and he wears a mask. And when I had a son, I put the James in it because James is my son's middle name. So I call myself Cole James Cash because I thought it sounded really cool. I mean, it's not much to it.
That's dope. So, I guess going back, you know, looking at some of your interviews and everything, you talk about...
There's quite a few.
Yeah. You know, I guess your upbringing and everything like that, and about, you know, how you got your record collection. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. My record collection came about, you know, what happened was my dad, he left my mom. You know, my dad's a real, you know, he's not a nice guy. You know, someone like to put it, he's not a nice guy. He's extremely selfish and self-serving. So, you know, with that said, what he did was when he left, he didn't take his records. And my dad was the type of person that, like, if you touched his shit, like, he'd beat your ass. So when he wasn't there, I was like, I ain't gonna do shit now, so I'm gonna fuck with it. So the moment I put the needle to the record, it was a life-changing event. I was like, I can't believe that music is being generated from this. So I would grab, like, random records, like Tears for Fears, Cyndi Lauper, a lot of Brazilian records. If you put the dots together, there's a reason why there's a lot of Brazilian records. I'll let y'all take the hint. Like Astro Gilberto, Antonio Carlos Jobim, Sergio Mendes. You know what I'm saying? Like I would listen to a lot of Brazilian records, And I definitely, I was highly influenced by that. So what ends up happening is you're listening to a lot of Lonnie Liston Smith, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Grant Green, Chet Baker, Art Blakey, etc. You grow up listening to that. That's going to have a high impact on you when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, and it did. So as I would listen to these records, I got a great understanding of musical theory at a very young age. Not because I was smart, I was just sat around playing records. I wasn't some advanced fucking kid, believe me. I just happened to like putting a needle to the record.
Right. So, like around that time when you were listening to that, what were other kids your age listening to? Just to put it in perspective.
Shit, I don't know. You know what? The radio then was playing pretty good stuff. So I remember the Scenario remix was really popping at that time. And you had like the Brat. The Brat was popping. Oh, Doggy Style, Jesus Christ. The Chronic. Like I said, like back then though, like the hip hop was influenced by the records I was playing. So for me to be listening to that wasn't really out of the question. It's not crazy to, if you're listening to the Fine Young Cannibals and then some guy samples it, it's not crazy to hear that. You have to understand, if it's 91, you're not that far removed from the 80s. So if you switch to VH1, some of those same pop records that my dad had, you could listen to. It's not like today where the music is so far removed from any of that. Listening to that, people think it's some kind of fucking genius. In reality, it's probably just some hipster snob that got the record at a goddamn record shop. But it's a different time now, So regardless, I mean, that's what I said. Like, I wasn't listening to that because I was a fan. So I was listening to it because it was there, and I happened to like it. And I liked listening to the radio at the time. Listening to the Chronic. The Chronic is the best and worst thing to happen to West Coast hip hop, easily. It's the best because it switched up the way production could be done. You could get cast Dre had people replaying things. He made things sound brand new 20 years later even. The problem is that everybody copied it. And to this day in the Bay Area, the reason why most Bay Area production sucks, and I'm just going to say, is most of it's garbage because they're trying to recreate the Chronic, and it's not going to happen. The Bay Area is kind of behind in a lot of respects because they're either doing some trap shit or they're trying to remake the Chronic, and there's just not a lot of originality and production-wise in the Bay Area. People are obsessed with, oh yeah, I got to make that slap. How about you just make music?
Right.
How about you just make something musically relevant?
Now, during this time when you were getting deeper into your father's record collection, were there any local hip hop acts that were on the radar, on the radio, or that you noticed coming up?
You're talking about locally?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely E40. E40 is definitely. You have to understand something about E40 is that what makes authenticity is kind of a big deal in the Bay Area. You're not going to sit there and spit about you do this and that and the other, and that's not what you do. We're very big on authenticity. Being a fraud, you get caught up very, very quickly. I don't know if you know, but a lot of beefs here end violently. So with E40, when he was sitting there talking about, oh, I'm cooking up this and I'm chefing that and I'm doing this, that's the life that he lived. So when he describes things in such detail, and you have to understand a lot of cats that aren't from the business, really don't fuck with him. But here, we love him because his unique way of describing things. He's definitely a narrator to the fullest. And you don't have a 25-year career to rap without having something about you, And I'm talking like being relevant, socially relevant, So yeah, when being a youngster, I would definitely say cats like local acts, like Richie Rich. He was over at Def Jam, so a lot of cats knew who he was. There was a cat named Domino. Rapping Forte, the Loonies. I really like them. But majority of the stuff I listen to is usually out of New York and LA. But some of the Bay Area cats I liked because they had a great funk vibe to them that I really enjoyed. But if you were to say, am I influenced by those guys? I can't say I'm influenced by the production because of the fact a lot of it's rooted in funk. But I'm not a big funk guy, and I know that sounds like ridiculous, but I'm just not, you know. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that all the funk samples have been used to death.
Right.
They've been used to death. So you know, in order to equate variation in what it is that I do, I have to, you know, bring something different, you know. This actually plays a huge part in an artist that I'm working with currently, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
Can you speak to your impetus when it started to when you started to like actually make your own tracks, and how you branched from DJing to actually, you know, creating music? What was that process like, and what was the impetus behind that?
Well, it took a while. What happened was in 2005, I started with a studio program, Cubase, which I found really confusing to use. In 2006, though, I got the MPC 2000 XO, and it worked well with what I wanted to do. Now, learning to sequence and all that, like, I understood bar structure because I'm a trained saxophonist, so I understood the structure of bars and you know, this and that and the other 16 bars, etc. But you have to understand it takes a long time to create your own sound. So when I started off producing because one of my boys, my man out in Marin County, he's a rapper out there, goes by the name of Doobad. He was fucking with a guy named Killer Tay, who is the homeboy of Sibo, and they have several albums together, et cetera, et cetera. These are Northern California legends. Right. And so what happened was they had encouraged me, you know, hey, you should give production a shot. So I gave production a shot, and like, you know, I got some drums and I got some samples. I had plenty of samples because I had a lot of records. But I can honestly say it took 2 straight years to get good. And what I mean by good, I mean like listenably good. Okay. But the thing was that like, as much I really enjoyed, you know, I enjoyed working with those guys, but I had some personal issues, you know, and I think he had some personal issues also. So we had a bunch of stuff recorded in the vault, but it just didn't come out like that, you know. It just didn't come out. So what ended up happening was, you know, eventually I developed a drug problem years later, and, you know, what ended up happening is I went through so much turmoil emotionally, but I can honestly say that when I did my first couple projects, one of them, The Price of Glory, which was my first full length by myself, no MCs, nothing, just instrumentals. I did that as a soundtrack to a movie. I just made my own soundtrack. I used samples, etc. And then my other album, Eternal Punishment, with those ones, that's when I was starting to like make ideas, and I was like, you know what, this is my idea, I'm going to run with it. Then when I fell into complete drug addiction, and, you know, and then for a little while I was homeless. I was homeless up until I admitted to my mom I had a drug problem. Then she put me in a hotel and got me, you know, all suited up for rehab. I was in an outpatient rehab, so I stayed in a halfway house, and then I went to a rehab by day, etc. When I stayed in the halfway house, that's when I started to get extremely good because I didn't have shit else to do. Like, I was locked in 17 hours a day. So what ended up happening is my mom got me another laptop, you know, and I didn't want to bring the MPC down to the halfway house. So I have this laptop with me, and I'd have it with me 24 hours a day, basically. So what I started doing was more than taking it serious, I started to really, really just buckle down and create my own signature sound. Like, I'm talking like using the programs to the max. So basically, I started to have this sound where my songs became to sound like almost like a dream-like state. You know, any one of my songs, they have this warm, dream-like feeling to them. So I made an album about Saigon. Saigon is an album about the evolution of the capital of Vietnam, from French ownership to the Vietnam War to the modern day. Now it's called Ho Chi Minh City, etc. So I just made an album about the evolution of the Vietnamese capital. You might be like, why the hell did you do that? Well, you know why? Because nobody else is going to fucking do it. So I did it. So, you know, I did that. And then after I did that was when I had the project of all projects. I said, you know what? I love big girls, and I hooked up with some BBW porn stars, and I made an entire rap album. Now, I don't rap, but I recruited a bunch of rappers to make rap songs about fat girls who do porn. I mean, there's no other way for me to describe it. You know, if you Googled me, you'd see the image. Okay, I did a photo shoot in LA for it, which is, you know, that's a whole nother story in itself. But I did a photo shoot in LA. Okay, and it was, if you can imagine this, you're dead broke, but you're making this album, and next thing you know, you produce someone else's album in Texas, and you use that money to go to LA so you could hook up with, you know, these porn stars so that you could do a photo shoot. I mean, it's a surreal moment. You know, it's a surreal moment. I mean, that's why, like, I really don't care to hear people's excuses of why they can't do shit. Like, oh, you know, when it comes to music, man, blah, blah, nobody supported me. Well, guess what? I was in a fucking halfway house, and I made it happen. So I don't want to hear shit. You know, I was in a halfway house with no money, and I got somebody out in Texas to pay me to go down there to produce his album. And I used that money to go to LA to make that photo shoot happen. I don't want to hear shit. You know, I don't even show my face, nothing. I don't show my face or anything. I got by on pure talent. So
I think that's one of the things that makes you, you know, such an interesting character, you know, in hip hop is, you know, you can look and look and look and search, and you can't find your face, and then you have such a disparate array of projects. Like, you know, you did a project focusing on Saigon, and then you go from there to BBW, and then you go from there to Street Fighter. Like, you know,
the Street Fighter one is like my major debut, you know, because there's a ton of people on it.
Right.
But going back to Saigon a bit, I was curious about this one track, French Indochina, where you sample. I noticed that you sampled Stereo Lab. Yeah. And I was curious to know, because I know a little bit about the lead singer. I know that she's a French musician. And did you specifically use sample Stereo Lab for that one specific track because she was speaking French?
Yes.
And what was she saying? Do you know?
You know, in that song in particular, I actually, you know what, now that I think about it, that song is really actually difficult to interpret. I can't really tell if she's speaking French or English because there used to be two lead singers and one of them's dead. Yeah. So with her, I actually cannot tell if it sounds like she's saying discovery at the beginning, but I actually can't even freaking tell. But it sounded French enough, so I sampled it because it's a French group, and I thought it would go well with the theme of the song because that song is supposed to be about finality, the finality that the French Empire is over. You know, that's it. That's it. It's done. You know, that's it. So with that said, it's time for you people to move on and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And it was because, you know, I know Stereo Lab has that kind of like 60s vintage kind of poppy kind of sound sort of. And then after that, you know, like the project starts off like kind of serene, kind of calm, and then once you get to like American Arrival, it's like these hard banging drums and kind of chaos going on, which I really liked. Like this tension all throughout the project.
Yeah, you motherfuckers did your homework. You guys did your homework because that's exactly what it is that happened.
What was you know, like, what was your interest in you know, focusing on that specifically for this project?
Because I like to focus on things that nobody gives a shit about. You know, I'm telling you, like, people's like, they'd say, oh yeah, I'm doing this beat tape. Fuck a beat tape. Why can't I just do a bunch of compositions that go together?
Right.
You know, there's you have to understand, there's a ton of producers, man. There's too many. I wouldn't even call them producers. There's a ton of beat makers. And I'm not a beat maker. I'm a producer. I can take control, which I'm actually preparing to do right now for somebody. I can take control of an album, get the best out of them, and create an atmosphere that captures what their fans want and what they want, you know. So for me, I was like, you know what? I don't even have any MCs to rock with. So fuck this. I'll just do whatever I want. You know, it's yeah. Do you understand how much crying and shit on Facebook I see every day? Oh, nobody wants to support me, or you guys ain't needed. I thought you all supported me, or y'all ain't showing no love, or MCs be taking long to. Y'all don't even know if you're gonna use the beat. Like, man, fuck waiting on an MC. You know, if you're dope, they'll be coming to you in the first place. And a lot of these niggas don't understand. Why don't you just go out and meet somebody, man? Go to a show and have personal interaction. You can't sit
Get
back
out of
and
your computer chair.
Yeah. You know, now granted, did I do most of my work in my computer chair? Yeah, but you know why? Because I have a journalist that backs me. That's my key element. Journalist Robbie Edelson from Uncut.com. He's very well connected, and he loves my work. So he made it very, very convenient for me, believe me. But even without him, you know, I would have still just put stuff out, you know. But don't get me wrong, he played a big role in helping me. But nonetheless, yeah, like I said, when it came to Saigon, there's a progression, you know. The progression from the 1940s to the 50s, in the 60s, 60s in the Vietnam War up until, you know, the modern day. That's why as the album goes further, the production gets more contemporary. I started sampling contemporary Vietnamese music to fit the theme.
And it kind of like this project in particular kind of reminded me of like kind of how Madlib does with his medicine show series. And,
yeah, Madlib's a huge influence on me. So yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, because I was kind of
the key thing is, the key thing is I can't do what Madlib's already did. You know, right. I gotta do something completely different. You know, Madlib's doing Indian tracks, so I'm doing Vietnamese tracks. You know, like you gotta do something that people don't do. You know, and I'm not concerned with anything or anybody's opinion. When I say that, I don't mean like constructive. I'm saying like, oh, this shit's whack. Okay, well, you know, that's how you feel. You know, that's how you feel. I can't please everybody, but I can please myself, and hopefully people like it. You know, because you understand, I'm not the type of person that think rap's going to be my financial savior. You know, because it ain't. You know, this is my last semester here at school. I work a regular job. I do this because I like it. You know, I do it because I like it, you know, and I'm not fooled by any illusions of grandeur, you know. And you think about Street Champion, I got some pretty major names on that shit, so doesn't mean people will buy it, you know. The best I can hope for is that people like it. That's my expectation. I hope they like it. That's it.
That's what's dope. Now, you know, another thing, when you talk about, you know, you can't do something that somebody else did, you know, like how when you said, you know, Madlib is doing the Indian thing and you're doing the Vietnamese thing, you know, with the Iron Man kind of anti-hero theme with the mask and everything like that, how does that play into, you know, your whole persona and your music as well?
Well, these days I've got some Mexican wrestling masks. Okay. So I've been wearing those. The Iron Man mask, I did that in the beginning because I just happened to have one. But I started custom ordering Mexican wrestling masks.
That's dope.
And the thing is about Mexican wrestling masks is that you're you know, with wrestling, first of all, rap is just like wrestling. A whole lot of bullshit. Okay? I know, here's the difference. I know I'm a fucking character. Okay? I know what it is that I am. You know, you look like a fucking idiot with that mask. You goddamn right I do. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You know, with wrestlers, you get different sides of them. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they break a chair over their ally. You get different sides. You get different stories. So with me, I have different stories to tell within my music. So you're going to get different sides of me with every album, you know. And the thing is also, it forces you to concentrate on my music. You know, there's not going to be a whole horde of groupies like, oh, I want you. No one gives a shit about that. I force you to focus on the music. Now, I've said this to another journalist. If Doom is the villain, then I'm the anti-hero. You know, I'm the drug-addicted, fat girl fucking anti-hero.
Now, how did you come across finding, you know, custom-made Mexican wrestling masks? Like, where did you go to find that? I mean, like, did you have it in your mind? Like what kind of mask did you want, or?
Yeah, there's certain luchadores that I like, such as Dr. Wagner, Mystico. You know, there's certain luchadores that I really like. You have to understand, you know, whether it's AAA or CMLL, these are the two main Mexican wrestling factions. You have, I'm like translating in my mind how I would say it in English. But basically, you have Técnicos, which is like the good guys, and you have Rudos, which is the bad guys. So it's like, depending on my mood, it's going to, you know, dictate what I would wear. If I'm in a great mood, I'd just say, fucking grab a Rey Mysterio mask and say, yeah, I'm going all good guy today, you know. It's like I said, you know, a lot of these rappers, I ain't going to say who they are, they're playing characters, and they're playing them 24 hours a day, you know, and it's like, not me, man. I know I'm just being a clown, but under that clown is some substance. So if you see a guy with a fucking mask, like, and he's on there with this girl with these huge fucking tits, and she's fat as hell, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly.
You're like, oh shit, this is quality music. That album BBW is actually about romance. If you listen to it, it's actually about romance, you know. And it's hilarious. I wasn't experiencing any of that in my personal life. My personal life was actually in fucking horrible shambles at that point. But, you know, I made that album because nobody else would do it. You know, nobody else is going to do what I'm going to do. And that's the point, you know. At the moment, you know, I got a bunch of projects locked and loaded. You know, I got me and my man FU, he's got me and him have an album pretty much ready to go. All he's got to do is rap to it. You know, I got upcoming songs with, Blue. You know, I got the BBW is actually going to be re-released under the album name Full Figured, and I got a song with Shabam Sadiq on there that wasn't on the other album. So I got a bunch of stuff on lockdown, man. It just hasn't seen the light of day. All of the albums are going to be re-released through Redline Distribution, along with Street Champion. Like, my entire back catalog is going to be on iTunes and Spotify, etc. You know, just so it'll reach a wider audience. And with BBW, it's going to be retitled Full Figured. And it's going to be shorter, and there's going to be some new songs on there. Like I said, the main one being the one with Shabam Sadiq in L.A., which is going to be called Sinful Celeste. And, you know, when it's done, you know, I'll make sure you guys, you know, get a link to that and things like that.
Oh, definitely.
But I got to say this, though. You guys got to understand my main priority right now, okay? I have a rapper who is, where are you guys from?
From Baltimore.
All right, Baltimore, okay. Here in California, you have the Bay Area, but you have a place called the Central Valley. Okay, It's pretty much called Death Valley. It's one of the largest concentrations in the United States of gangs. Okay, it's you know, it's not L.A., but it's not far from L.A. It's a ton of gang activity, right? There's a rapper out there who is probably the most popular rapper in that whole Central Valley, and she goes by the name of Tweety Bird. Okay. And this girl has a following like you wouldn't believe, you know. I mean, like, she posts pics of herself, and it's like 700 likes, you know. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you know. Good Lord. Now, me and her manager are real cool. We've been cool for years, and I've been trying to do material with her for years because I saw potential, you know. You have to understand, she's heavily gang affiliated. And a lot of there's a lot of the Mexican rappers who are gang affiliated like that rap with an accent, and even most of them will tell you that it sounds kind of annoying. But she doesn't rap like that. This girl has her own flow. She has her own look. She has her own everything. And what's happened is that I finally got a chance to meet her last week. And when I met her, I introduced her to my sound and the way that I do things, and I told her straight up, you let me work on your album with you, you and I will make the first classic out of the Bay Area in God knows how long. You know, we discussed, song concepts, you know what I mean, such as, for instance, you have to understand that within Mexicans in California, there's two different cultures. There's Northerners and Southerners. It's Sureños and Norteños. Now, she's a Northerner, okay? So with that, it makes it's so serious and it's so deep. She cannot go to L.A. without covering her tattoos, etc. Just like a Southerner who's up here, he's going to encounter a bunch of problems. Like the gang shit is very serious in Cali, man. It's not a game. You're talking about fourth, fifth, sixth generation of people who are members. So, it's not like, no disrespect to New York, but it's not like New York where you have cats that are only like 7 or 8 years generations and that's it. Nah, this shit's going back 50 years. Am I making sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's basically, this girl, though, is like the shining star out of every one of these types of rappers that I've seen. Because they have a few of them. It's called, quote-unquote, homeboy rap. And I've seen her, a bunch of these guys, but when I saw her, I'm like, this girl can be an MC. So what's happened is that I'm taking the girl under my wing, and, I'm giving her song ideas and concepts. I mean, you got to understand, I'm getting ready to send her a CD package of Illmatic, Iron Man, and Liquid Swords, because she's never heard any of that shit.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Imagine growing up and you've never heard that, because I told you, it's insulated out here. But she's open to it, and she realizes that, like I told you, all these Bay niggas do the same shit. So I told her, we're going to do something different. And regardless of her gang affiliation, that doesn't make her who she are. Her album is going to be called Struggles of a Homegirl. And it's really about the inner struggle between, the street life and her life as a woman and a mother. The fact that the father of her child was murdered and assassinated, the effects of that psychologically, and really examining the breakdown of choosing the street life, balancing that with motherhood, and maintaining your name. And the psychological effects of that is huge among the Mexican population. There are no street-savvy Mexican female rappers that speak for them, and there's God knows how many Mexicans. So you understand. You understand
all that makes you a producer. Like you are producing from the ground up. Sending records and developing a sound and really working with the artists and everything like that. So it's like,
yeah.
When you say that, you don't care about having your own label and you don't look to this, the rap stuff to kind of, be your financial savior and everything, I can see it happening for you, because just your whole mindset of going into a project like this is just crazy.
I mean, you have to understand, because I don't do it for money.
Right.
And that's why me and this girl are close. She's like 22, 23, you have to understand, I know we don't talk about my personal life. I have a son, I have a woman, things are great. Well, at least they're great now. Okay, let me tell you something. They're great now. Wasn't always this way, obviously. I'm not going to get too much into that, but she's just a kid. She's beautiful. She's a lesbian, okay, but she's very beautiful. And, she has a look. She has these 2 long braids that she has an identifiable look. And she raps, and she has her own flow. And God forbid, she has a video with damn near 800,000 views. Okay, that's number one. So she's got a serious following. She has no promo. Her first interview with a journalist, I set that up. You have my boy Mateo Urella on your show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm setting him up with her. Like, she's excited to interview her. She's never been interviewed. All these damn fans, and she's never been interviewed. Okay. So basically, like I said, my goal with her is to bring out the best in her. You have to understand that, think about Nas, I Gave You Power. Okay, think about Tupac, Me and My Girlfriend. So, I told her, like, look, you need to do a song, because, Northerners, Norteños, they wear red rags. I said, you need to do a song about a day in the life and rap from the perspective of a red rag and what it's like to hold one, what it's like to bang for one, and what it's like to die for one. You know? And I said, you understand, these guys, these generations today, they don't know about I Gave You Power. But they can have something similar to it by allowing her to tell the story from the perspective of the rag. You see what I mean? I mean, I'm talking about we're going to, hopefully have songs, I'm working with something called Jumped In, a fast-paced song about getting your ass whooped and getting jumped in a fucking gang. I'm talking about we're talking about the breakdown and the deconstruction of being in a gang, what it means, and the cost of it. And I'm not talking about it negatively or positively. It is a matter of environment. So atmospherically, it is my job to make people feel the atmosphere and make people feel like, oh shit, this is what it's like. And the thing is like I told you, there's a ton of Mexicans, and they got nobody speaking for them. Honestly, they don't have anybody speaking for them. And when I say speaking for them, I'm not talking about, oh yeah, there's a lot of Mexican rappers that talk about how they bang and this and that. But how many of them are trying to talk to their fans and let them know, this is what I do, this is a part of who I am, but I am also a woman. I am also a lesbian. I am also in love with another woman. I also have a daughter. It's like Mayhem Loren said, if you're going to talk about slanging and this and that, talk about how niggas get robbed and shot in the face for that shit. If you're going to talk about killing somebody, talk about the psychological after effects of a dead body. Somebody's brother, somebody's son is now dead in a grave because of you. Talk about the effects of that. That's what I'm going to go into with her.
And see, that's the thing too, like not only speaking to her people, but like, coming from Baltimore, growing up, we listened to different songs, and that took us to another place and another world that we didn't know about. So we learned about it through there. So not only could she be speaking to her own people, but, now I'm looking her up like, yo, I'm trying to get into this world now through her music. So I think that's, very powerful as well.
You know what, man? She's a powerful kid, man. I'd kill to have that damn fan base, okay? Like, they're eagerly awaiting her next move. She works. She's like me. She's actually a lot like me. She works. She don't really give a shit about money. She loves the fans, but she didn't try to go get that. She didn't pander. She has never paid a promotional group, nothing like. She didn't have to do any of that. She put out one big song, All Read Everything, and then released the album, All Read Everything, and she's just been kind of doing her thing from there. You got one female who's been featured on 23 different albums out here in the Bay Area and Central Valley. What does that tell you? Like I was the one who had to explain to her, you have it. She's like, what's it? It is you being featured on all these tracks. It is all that big fan base. It is having your own look, your own flow. I mean, like I said, I've never seen a Mexican rapper that had it, and she has it. And I'm not one to take people or mentor people. You know why? Because you give people advice, and they don't fucking listen. I've given countless beat makers advice like, look, don't post your prices. Don't lease beats. You're not a used car salesman. I've given people advice, and then they don't fucking take it, so I've stopped doing that. Like, one of the worst things I see, and I talked about this the other day on Facebook, is you will see niggas talking about rappers need to invest in themselves and this and that by buying beats. Well, nigga, how about you invest in a fucking rapper? How about that? Don't sit there and act like, nigga, you are not Alchemist, dog. You are not DJ Mustard. You've rocked with nobody. Nobody knows you. So how the fuck do you expect anyone to pay $200 when they could get a beat for free by ripping it off of SoundClick or ripping it off of YouTube for free? A producer's name has to bring credibility. If credibility isn't brought by a beat, they'll just get it from many other millions of beat makers who will just rock with you for free.
Yeah, and the thing too is like a lot of beat makers, they, the ones who are able to make it and gain notoriety, they gain it because they build a community of people that they produce for and develop that sound. So
absolutely.
They, do something with it. Like, take DJ Mustard, for example. In modern times, how he built with YG, You know, I remember him in '06, and you know, now look at, you know, what's happened since then, and it's taken time, you know, and it's like now that they've built their whole thing, other people look into it, and it's like you have to look at certain examples and what path other people took to make it, you know. And it's not, you know, how you were saying, like leasing beats and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and like I said, you could say with me, my rise has been pretty goddamn fast, man. I'm not gonna lie. Now, don't get me wrong. I started 10 years ago, actually, almost 11. I started 10 years ago, but I only came back. I really only came back in April of 2014, and after that, I raised the money and this and that. So you know, you got A Letter to My Son, which drops, I believe, December 15th. You got that right. Then you have Street Champion, which I named off a bunch of people. That's not even all of them. You know, I mean, we're talking legends. You got an A-lister like Sky Zoo. You know what I'm saying? You got my man Spit Gems. You got Chris Rivers. You know what I'm saying? You got people who have credibility. One Street Champion drops, that says, oh shit, Cole James Cash, he's rocking with a whole shitload of people. I need to contact him because obviously he got that. He has heat. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, when I finish this up with my girl Tweety in 5 to 6 months because she's kind of slow. Okay, she takes her time. When I finish that up, I want her to be the first breakthrough street Mexican rapper. Because you got this girl named Snow the Product, who's a great rapper, a great spitter. But you know what? She ain't from the goddamn street. You know, she ain't tatted up, and she ain't never put in no work. And I don't mean that as a negative, not at all. And I'm glad she didn't have to do that. But you know what? My girl did, okay? You know, my youngster had to put in work. My youngster had to earn her stripes, especially as a female where they don't even technically allow, there's no such thing as a norteña. They don't even allow that shit. And she said, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. I still do what I got to do, you know? To narrate that, to me, that's important because it speaks to the Mexican group on a street level, and it speaks to people who aren't Mexican that can look at it and say, oh shit, here's a Mexican spitter who's talking that street shit, who's talking that real shit from a perspective that's relatable. Shit, I might be a black ass nigga, but I'm fucking with it. That's how I feel.
So what do you look for in a rapper when you want to work with somebody?
I usually work with a lot of aggression. And when I say aggression, I'm not talking like, a lot of these trap dudes that talk endlessly about moving bricks and shooting people because it's not real, If that was the case, I'd have a whole roster of Slim Jesus, It's what I look for. I look for presence on the mic, number one. You've got to sound natural. I need you to sound natural. I like for things to be aggressive. I like for you to want to be number one. That's one thing I could say about the girl. That's one thing I could say about my man F.U., my man Lex, okay? Them niggas want to be number one. Every track to them, it's like, I must body this. I'm going hard. These niggas ain't rappers, they're MCs, okay? You got to be an MC. You need to have a base in lyricism. You need to have some sort of base in what you rap about. And I don't take no cat in the hat type niggas, man. You've got to be able, you know what, I'm a producer. If somebody disses me, I need you to go to war for me if necessary.
Right,
if you're down with me, if somebody says, man, fuck that pussy ass nigga in a mask, I'm going to lace you with the hardest shit I got, and you got to go to war on my behalf because we niggas, and that's what it is. If somebody comes and disses me and calls me a son of a bitch, my man F.U., if I call on him, he's going to be like, yo, our name is our name. Elite Squad is our clique. Fuck this. We going hard. If a female wants to come at me foul, God forbid, my girl Tweety, if she can't get you lyrically, she'll shoot the fair one and knock you the fuck out. That's real talk. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. Now, I'm just talking shit figure of speech, but that's what I look at. Can I count on you to go to war? Can I count on you not to if an MC wants to go one-on-one, can I count on you to out-rap them? That's what I look for.
Now, when it comes to approaching different artists, do you mostly do it, through computer, or do you do it in person?
I prefer to. Now, you understand, I'm in the Bay Area, so when it comes to the New York niggas, I usually like to have them call me. you know, and interact. If they're close to me, like Modesto's about 70 miles away. That's where my girl Tweety lives. That's like 70 miles away. So I had to take the train out there. And I will take the train. I will go under my own dime. I'll get a room. I'll do whatever I have to do to get a face-to-face with her. You know, like I went out there to get a face-to-face and develop rapport. You have to understand, I don't work with too many people, man. Don't be fooled by Street Champion. I just recruited because I had to. When it comes to people who are like within my circle, let's say my buddy Metaphysical, you know, my buddy Casey Soprano out of Jersey, Metaphysicals from LES, Crew 54 out in Texas. When it comes to those cats, man, be it them, you know, we cool. You know, but my closest advisors are easily Lex and my man FU. Those cats guide me through everything, along with my buddy Malcolm Albert. And of course, my man, music critic and uncut, you know, owner Robbie Edelson. Those guys guide me. You know, they guide me in a major way. And secondly, you know, I develop rapport with these guys. I'm very responsive, and you know what? Most of all, I'm a man of my word, dog. If I say F you, Lex, I'm doing a track. If you guys fuck with me, I promise you, I will put you on with the best rappers, and we'll, you know, I do this Kickstarter. I'll get the money together. I'll make sure you guys are rocking with the best. Next thing you know, the niggas is on the track with Sky Zoo. You know? Next thing you know, the niggas is on the track with Gorilla Nems. You see what I mean? And Gorilla Nems was fresh off the Ghostface album when I got him.
Right.
You know, he did the song with Coochie Rap, and he did the song with Ghost on Ghost album. So it's like I had to make sure that, look, I'm going to make sure that my guys shine, because I got projects with those guys, you know? Now, with my girl Tweety, it's the same deal. I made contact with Blue out in L.A. I said, look, I got something. It's going to be about this and this. Are you with it? He's like, yes. So I do something. I get a major feature. I pair them up, and then I use that to lure in the hip-hop fans or whatever, or the fans of those guys, and I use that to lure them into my guys. I mean, it's really like I guess you could say I map shit out. I have a plan.
So I guess going back to your DJ days, I was curious to know that, you know, whenever you did perform, you know, I noticed in some interviews you talked about how you don't like to be photographed and things like that. And even when you were DJing, so when you were DJing back in the day, did you you know, wear, you know, maybe sunglasses or maybe even a mask early on in your younger days as a DJ?
Before I would up until 2008, 2009, I would DJ just regular, but there aren't any pictures of me, and if there are, I wouldn't fucking know. But this is the pre-Instagram, Twitter era, really. So if you're talking from 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, any DJ, any gig, especially 2014 when I was out in Texas DJing, basically you're going to get the mask, and you're not going to get shit else.
So when you're out, so when you are DJing a gig, you know, within this era, do you interact with people still, just with the mask, or are you like more quiet, more reserved?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I interact with anybody, you know, because I got to show them I'm a normal fucking person. But most of the time, if I'm DJing, I usually like to concentrate on that. I've had people try to yank the mask off, and male or female, you're gonna get slapped for that shit. You know, and if I gotta catch a fade from some big ass nigga who wanted to get the mask on, then that's what it is. You're not taking it off.
It's interesting.
That's some real shit, man.
Yeah, it's real shit, and it's also real fucking childish. But regardless, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. So, I guess fast forwarding a little bit, man, when I listened to the Street Fighter project that you sent us, I didn't really have a chance to delve into it, but
okay.
You know, delving it too deep, but I tried to listen to every track, and it just brought back a sense of nostalgia of Street Fighter 2, and then, you know, I remember on Sega Genesis we had the Special Championship Edition, and then, you know, on Super Nintendo the Super Street Fighter 2 and everything like that. And I know that you're heavy in the video games, so can you speak to like, the influence of video games and everything, and how much you're into those?
Well, basically, Street Champion just comes from me playing a lot of Street Fighter and knowing the stories and wanting to convey those stories. At the end of the day, Street Champion is really a vehicle for me to discuss competition. The difference between BBW and Street Fighter is BBW is a lot of romantic, but Street Champion is straight up spitting, straight up MCing. This is MCing. This is going bar for bar. This is one-on-one.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is like not a lot of hooks, just bars.
No, there's not a lot of hooks because, Riz already told you this ain't rapping bullshit.
Right.
This is straight. It's like you're playing Street Fighter and My Little Pony isn't going to show up, dog. It's one-on-one. It's you versus them. And only one person can win. So you give it your best.
Now, why is it based on Street Fighter 2?
So that people would fucking know, like people would be like, "Oh shit, there's a Street Fighter album. What fucking clown made that shit? I'll click one song." That's what it comes down to. I got guys rapping in character. Chris Rivers rapping in character. Gorilla Mims rapping in character. So, it's like, people are like, what the fuck is this? I'm telling you, it's like, that's what I go for. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah,
and then people fuck with it.
Yeah, this episode will probably come out before the album drops, but, it's crazy to hear, like, some people rapping from the perspective of a Sagat, or like...
Yeah, that was Gorilla Mims, yo.
Yeah.
Yo.
Or like...
and Gorilla Mims ain't nobody, man. That nigga just got back on tour with Jedi Mind Tricks and them niggas, man, so...
And there was one joint where the dude was talking about like all the Zangief stuff, and I was just remembering the moves and
oh yeah,
all of the code books I used to look at back in the day.
Yep.
The Psycho spin.
100 Hand Slap is the most popular song on there, though. Like it hasn't come out, but that's the one everybody loves, man.
Yeah, that was interesting because like seeing like that term kind of brought me back to Street Fighter and shit like that, and even like the Ryu and Ken joint.
Oh yeah,
So you're talking about like trying to like rap out the whole storyline and narrate it and everything like that.
Like I said though, 100 Hand Slap is a song about pimping, and. It's like I said, I try to make it interesting, and that's probably the most danceable song I've ever made. It's the only song I could probably ever use in a club. But yeah, like I said, I just tried to make a good album. I'm not one of these niggas like, yeah, I made a classic. Man, you know what? What stupid niggas don't understand is back in the day, we didn't know we had classics. We didn't know. Like when Redman dropped Muddy Waters, we didn't know it was a classic. When Jizza dropped Liquid Swords, we didn't know. 36 Chambers, we didn't know. It dropped and we liked it, and later on, it stood the test of time. That's why I didn't like the crowning of Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. It's too early. Let the boy enjoy his success. Let him get his message across. Fuck all this classic shit. Why don't you just listen to it and take it for what it is? And if it stands the test of time, which it will, let the man have his success.
Right.
I'm a big Kendrick champion because you know what, man? Kendrick ain't out here talking about Molly and pussy and this and that, man. He's not sending messages to my community that they don't need to fucking hear because they hear it all the goddamn time. Kendrick's idea of a good time is not, talking about, how can I put this without being too fucking irrational? Kendrick's idea of a good time is not going to a strip club and throwing money because before rap I was gameless. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before rap, Kendrick was in the hood. Before rap, Kendrick had to do what he had to do. So he understands the importance of how these messages affect his community, and he stands for something. And some of these big name rappers don't stand for a goddamn thing, and that's why the genre is in the position it's in now.
Mm.
So what are you listening to now?
As far as what?
As far as hip hop, just what's in your rotation?
Oh, as far as hip hop, you know what? Of course, I listen to my boys. Max, like I said, he has a new album called "Break the Pattern." I listen to I've been listening to this cat named Conway, and West Side Gun. Like, I really like those guys. I like these cats out of Philly, Clever One and Him Low. I definitely enjoy those guys. I've been listening to that Freddie Gibbs and Madlib project still. Big Twins released an album back in March, and I finally got around to checking it out. One of my favorite albums has been that Blue, Good to Be Home. I really love that shit, man. Oh man, I go crazy for it. I definitely, but for the most part, I spend a lot of my time listening to jazz. And it's not because, like, I'm not one of those people that's disillusioned about hip hop. There's a lot of great things happening, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. With my girl, I'm trying to create a new standard and a new legend. You can't hang on to the past forever. You got to create new ones. And I'm trying to bring something that nobody's ever seen with this girl. So for me, I listen to a lot of jazz. I've been listening to a lot of Chet Baker and a lot of Art Blakey and Nicola Conti, and of course my hero Sergio Mendes and Elsa Suarez. These are Brazilian bossa nova singers. I listen to a lot of that so I can bring those elements into my music. If you're sitting there listening to John Coltrane all the time, when you make music, you're going to use what it is that they used and try to emulate that. A lot of kids these days, think about A$AP Rocky, they're growing up on all this trap shit and all this Gucci Mane, so they're going to emulate that. That's why I kind of don't blame the kids for sounding like that, even though they're from New York. You can't blame a kid who's listening to a bunch of same shit on the radio and then he's not going to emulate it. Well, if I'm listening to Miles Davis Bitches Brew, then that means I'm going to have a certain level of experimentation. And as I've said this before, musical theory. There's progression, there's theme. Within jazz, you have to have that. Because there's not going to be any words to fucking save you. There's not a hook that's going to save you. There's not going to be like, when I hear that light bling, that's not going to save you in jazz, dog.
You got to have
the save you.
Yeah, dissonant chords and, how they resolve and, the harmonics.
And that's no disrespect to hooks, or it's not no disrespect to Drake. But Drake said once that he wanted to be like Marvin Gaye. Well, the advice I'd give him, he made What's Going On. And if you want to be like Marvin, you better take a look around, black man.
Oh, man. Man.
And I'm not giving advice I don't mean to give advice to someone who's more financially relevant than me. He's bigger than me. He's more popular than me. He's more successful than me. But when he said he wanted to be like Marvin, he bet, he's hearing him, but he ain't listening. Because if he was, his content would completely change. And I still hold out the idea that Drake at some point will wake up.
Yeah, I mean,
that
to me,
wake up.
Like I always said that Tupac was like the Marvin Gaye of hip hop, because he, like, Marvin Gaye hit you on every level. Like, he did Sexual Healing and he did What's Going On. Like, he had a diverse range of topics, but he still hit you and made those records that had some type of social consciousness to it, even if it wasn't necessarily the most popular thing at the time. And it's like, it's kind of rare to find an artist like that now. So, like, you have the...
You know why? Because Tupac was about his people.
Right.
He was about his people. And I'm going to be honest with you. You have to spend time with our people to really know us. And when you spend time with us, when you grow up, I live in East Oakland. When you grow up with us, when you spend time with us, I'm not talking about, oh yeah, I'm with the label and I'm down with this person because we're on the label. No. Live with us. See what it's like. See what our community's like. See what our communities are lacking. See the lack of opportunity, you know? See how we have to work 10 times as harder. I guarantee you're not going to be talking about your Ferraris and this and that and the other, because you'll realize I'm driving a fucking Ferrari, and yet there's a kid trying to take the bus, and he can barely make it on time while he's making ends meet at a job while he's trying to go to school. And here I am throwing it in his face that I could take his bitch.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, your perspective is gonna fucking change.
Yeah, I mean, you know, speaking of what you just said, I remember when I was younger, you know how you talk about the rapper talking about they gonna take your bitch. I remember Bow Wow had a record where he said, you ain't fresh as I'm is. And when I heard that song, I just wanted to smack him in his face. Like, how dare you say this to me on the radio that I'm listening to over these airwaves? And it's like, you know, how could an artist like really come and stun on you like that when there's so much other stuff that's going on? And it's just crazy. And then, you know, you said that you know, you're in East Oakland right now, and you know, we're from Baltimore, so you know, we have the whole Freddie Gray and everything like that that's going on with the riots. And you know, I know in Oakland they had the Oscar Grant situation and stuff like that. So it's like,
oh yeah, that was the beginning.
Yeah,
that was the beginning.
So it's like,
and that's why, you know, I just want to say, I don't expect rappers to rap about things politically, but when Young Thug gives an interview and he says, they ask, like, you know, is it within a rapper's position to discuss politics? He's like, nah, man, you know, we over here, we got all this ice and this and that. And I felt bad for Young Thug. I felt bad because it's like, you know what? You know, it's like that saying goes, man, the slave master gives you a chain and a whip.
Yeah.
You know, did you guys see that interview where he said that? When it came to Ferguson?
I heard about that, and I was just like, you know, where did the disconnect come from? Because, you know, I'm not too much younger than you, and like I have a certain sense about things that are going on, and even if you don't know or aren't politically active, like, it's one thing to not know things and to just be aloof, but it's a whole nother thing to just come out and say that, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, when Soulja Boy said years ago about, you know, thanking the slave masters.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's like, if it wasn't for the slave masters, that wouldn't have all this ice and tattoos. And like I said, you know what? At the end of the day, these are young kids who are unguided. That's why I don't speak negative. That's why I said I'm not speaking negatively about Drake. I'm not speaking negatively about Young Thug and Soulja Boy, because you know what? They clearly are not being guided, you know?
Yeah, and at the same time, you know, like how Mos Def said, and I agree with him, you know, Soulja Boy, Turn My Swag On. I don't know if you remember that song, but, you know, he said, you know, that's like a new Negro spiritual. Like, I wake up in the morning and I turn my swag on. Like, the joint is kind of uplifting in a certain sense. It makes you feel good when you wake up in the morning. So it's like, that's his generation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on no brother that's not even only more successful than me, but has stayed relevant. That's why I told you, man, I don't waste my time disliking certain rappers, because you know what? Get money while you can get it, because it doesn't last forever. But if you don't stand for something, you will only be remembered for what you didn't do. You know, because at the end of the day, think about Nelly. You know, what do you remember Nelly for? Tip drill. You know, I mean, at what point did Nelly take a stand? You know, and now I'm not saying that it's his job, but you know what? I'm a black man, and I'm living in turbulent times. And you know what? I speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. Portugués es mi primera. Español es mi segundo. They're trying to kick my people out the fucking country, and I'm not having it. They're trying to kick my son out the country, his mother out the country, and I'm not having that shit. So not taking a stand is what allows these people to do what they do. And I read this the other day, you know, I gotta go, but I read this the other day, man. You know, I hate to make it too political, but fuck it. People talk about refugees coming here and ruining things. Refugees have done nothing but do great things for this country. The only time refugees came here and fucked everything up is a day that everybody's going to celebrate come Thursday.
Wow.
You know, those are the only motherfuckers who came someplace and exterminated everybody. So some of these cats need to take a look in the mirror and think about who it is that they are and who it is and what it is that they stand for. When you're sitting there watching a man tell you your people are racist, your people are worthless, Black Lives Matter doesn't mean shit, Latinos are a bunch of, you know, criminals and this and that, and there needs to be a wall built, et cetera, et cetera. If people don't wake the fuck up, history is doomed to repeat itself.
And it's like, where did the Rockefellers and all of these people get their money from? Illegal activities. People were doing all kind of things, and then now that they're in a position of power, they want to, you know, slang the next man down for some stuff that shouldn't even be illegal, you know, because we're supposed to have personal freedom. So,
and the thing is, the best way I can put it, if a drug addicted fat girl fucking video game playing jackass like B knows, you should definitely fucking know if you listen to this. You know, if I know and you see my lifestyle, you should know. You know, regardless of my flaws, I stand for something. You know, I'm a veteran. I stand for something. I have every right. Because, you know, people talking about, oh, yeah, we should go to war and this and that. You know what? Unless you're ready to lock and load your goddamn self, don't talk that tough shit.
And see, that's what I tell people. I say, listen, you want to send people, you know, we should do this and that. Me personally, I don't want to go over there and do that. So I'm not advocating for that.
Hell no.
Like you shouldn't, if you want to go to war yourself, you want to go over there? Go ahead if you're talking about that, but you know, that's a whole nother story.
No, absolutely. But basically, going back to it, man, you know, when it comes to my album, A Letter to My Son, it should drop December 15th. I'll get you guys up with a link so that you can get the pre-order. Okay.
No doubt.
And the single Hands Up will drop. It's right up your guys' alley. You know, I mean, Crew 54, man, I made that beat right when the Mike Brown shit happened because I'm like, oh, no, I'm not having this. I'm not having this, you know. So you have, and then, like I said, January Street Champion drops. Right after that, my man FU's dropping the F word on Red Phone Records. I think he's going on a European tour, that lucky fuck. He's going on a European tour for it. You know, that's my man, that's my brother.
Shout out,
okay? And then when it's ready, my girl Tweety, she'll be ready to come out. And you know what? Let me tell you something. You need to have her on your show, man. You know?
Hey, man,
she is far more interesting than I am, man. You know? She is far more interesting than I am. I mean, who doesn't want to talk to a lesbian coming straight out that gang life, who was about that life? And she, like I said, Tweety will either out-rap you or she'll shoot the fair one. You pick your poison.
Hey, man, let's make it happen. Let's put on the show, man. Now, you know,
absolutely. You understand, like, she's not used to dealing with media, because I'm the one with all the media connections. I'll keep it real. And that's only because I talk so goddamn much. I can't help but know somebody who's a journalist, okay? So I'm doing my best to get her out there, because she's already out there. She just needs more outlets to show people who she is, you know? And she's a great kid, man. I love that kid. You know, I mean, kids like her motivate me that this genre can still stay alive.
Word. Well, we definitely got to have her on. And, you know, like us, you know, are we journalists? I mean, we just chilling, talking, like, you know. So.
Well, the thing is, man, you know, regardless, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on the show. And I didn't mean to make it all political, but you know what, man?
No, we gotta talk about that.
Political is what's fucking happening, man. And I'm sick of individuals who are purporting straight lies and they're being passed on. And when I see a Black Lives protester being beaten at a Donald Trump rally and kicked, that's my people getting kicked. When I see a Latino reporter who's being kicked out because he's asking questions, that's my people being suppressed. You
hey,
feel
man,
me?
are you a Dead
I'm
Prez
not
fan?
having it. Huh?
Are you a Dead Prez fan?
You know what? I'm not gonna say no. I just haven't gotten around to it, man.
Okay.
Like I just haven't gotten around to it. But yo, I really gotta go. But I really enjoyed talking to you guys, even though I did most of the fucking talking as always. You know, some people just don't know when to shut the fuck up, and I'm one of them. But yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on my show. And when everything's ready to drop, you know, you guys know, I have no problem dropping you links, email, etc.
Oh, no doubt, man. We definitely appreciate you having you on. We definitely enjoyed it, man. You're more interesting than you think you are.
Well, thank you. And I definitely want to thank Mateo Urella for getting me on the show. And that motherfucker just interviewed Ronda Rousey's mom, man. He's moving up in the world.
What?
Yeah. He moving like Sports Illustrated shit. He is moving up, boy.
He just sent us an email about some stuff. He didn't mention that.
And the thing is, too, is that he's got a very extensive interview with me that'll drop in January. So, you know, it's like I said, he's a great kid, man. And that's why I was actually the one that approached him. I said, look, you should be writing about me. And this is why you should write about me. He's like, oh, hell yeah, I should be writing about you. Oh, shit. You know? So, yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys, man. And I will talk to my girl Tweety because she's very, very private. But I'm going to tell her, you need to appear in as many places as possible because she's going to get to know you.
No doubt, man. I mean, you know how to get at us, and, you know, shout out to you, man. We definitely appreciate you having you on, and we looking forward to the joint about your son and the Street Fighter joint. And we'll definitely, you know, put the links up on everything, blast it on Twitter and our Tumblr and all of that.
That's what's up, man. All right, I'll holler at you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right, bye.
Feeling is here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. Word up, son. You gotta just do it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10, it's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime